Hello, and welcome to Something's Brewing at the Chamber. My name is Jessica Linder Gallo, and I'm the President and CEO of the Aurora Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm also your host for today's episode. Something's Brewing at the Chamber is a program to keep you up to date on news, events, and happenings all around you in the Aurora area. This is the show where we keep you up to date on what's brewing at the Chamber and in the community around you. So grab a cup of whatever's brewing near you, and let's get started. So on today's episode, we'll be talking about the Economic Pulse event. This event is coming up on February 24th. Today, we're going to hear snippets from some of the speakers for that event. And later in the episode, we'll be joined by our gold sponsor, Waubonsie Community College. First, joining me for today's episode is our Chamber's very own workforce development specialist, Eric Carlson. Eric, welcome to the broadcast.
Hi, Jessica.
So glad you were able to join us today. I'm going to go ahead and have you kick us off by go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about your role at the Chamber.
Yeah, my name's Eric Carlson, and I'm the Workforce Development Specialist here at the Chamber. I'm right now finishing my master's at Illinois State University, the Stevenson Center, and yeah, working really closely with Jessica and our team on doing workforce development programming, specifically pathways in our apprenticeship programs that we're working on right now.
Fantastic. Yeah, and in addition to workforce, you're really often involved in projects that are relating to community development and certainly economic development. So for everybody watching, Eric has been really integral in putting together this year's Economic Pulse event. So the Economic Pulse event, let's talk about what that is. It's one of our flagship events here at the Chamber and one of the most anticipated of the year. I remember when I started, I got asked about it all the time. It's such a popular event, especially with business owners and business leaders. But let's tell us a little bit more about it, Eric. Like, what's the purpose of this? Why would I want to attend?
Yeah, I mean, the purpose is kind of in the name, is to take the pulse of the economy right now. So that's a yearly thing that we do, an annual event. And it's a kind of idea to get our members to know what's going on in the business community, the pulse, if you will.
The pulse, absolutely. Yeah, and it really is so important as business leaders when we're trying to make decisions. Like, none of us have a crystal ball, right? But economists tend to have a little bit more data-driven crystal ball than the rest of us, so maybe a little better shot at figuring it out. So it's really a great chance to kind of help us make some business decisions for the coming year too.
Very true. And a lot of our speakers and panelists have very interesting insight that maybe businesses haven't thought about, or maybe just now have data to prove there are thoughts that we're correct or whatever. So
yeah, gut feelings we've all had in the last crazy 12 months.
Yeah,
definitely. And that really is like the crux of this event, is using data and looking at what's happening in the economy and in the labor around us to understand the environment we work in. So to do that, we need economists, right?
Yes.
So there are economists all over the world, and each one of them forms different opinions based on the data they're looking at, maybe in their areas of specialty. And after the year we had last year, Eric and I talked a lot about the role that the labor market is really going to play in our future economic recovery. And that's actually why I'm so excited about our keynote economist for this year's Economic Pulse.
Yeah. So our keynote speaker. Okay, our speaker is Daniel Culbertson from the Indeed Hiring Lab. So that's really exciting. Indeed is an awesome website around the world, actually. So worldwide, international. Yeah, we're really excited.
Yeah, he's going to be really good. And while Daniel Culbertson may not necessarily be a dinner table name for a lot of people, I mean, maybe he is.
Around my dinner table, yeah, but I'm also planning the event, so.
Fair enough. But for many, he may not be, the name that you're talking about over dinner. But Indeed definitely is a household name. That's a name that I think probably everybody knows. And certainly anybody in the modern day who's looked for a job knows Indeed, right? It's like synonymous with job searching.
Yes. Yeah. So also, we're going to show a little Super Bowl commercial that, so if you don't know what Indeed is, maybe we all watch the Super Bowl this weekend and it can kind of refresh our memories about.
Yeah, here we go.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. And we'll rise up high like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you.
There were a few commercials during the Super Bowl that I felt like just kind of like, pulled a little moisture out of the eye.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that commercial so much. And I feel like, especially after this last year, there were millions of Americans that found themselves needing a new start, needing to pivot, really trying to find their next step. And Indeed is definitely there for that. So it's really awesome to see that commercial from them.
Yeah, and they're a go-to resource for jobs, and they actually have some really incredible data that Daniel is going to be talking to us about at the Economic Pulse luncheon. So just to give you more information about him, he is an economist with Indeed Hiring Lab, and they're using their own data from algorithms and things like that they're collecting, but also information from the Labor Department, other sources, things like that. And it's pretty interesting. So Daniel also has experience as an economic forecaster with Moody's Analytics and holds a degree in economics from the University of Delaware. So we're really excited for him to join us, I guess not join our chamber, but join us and talk to our members about some really interesting things going on in the labor market. So yeah.
Yeah, they have access to just, like you said, so much data and information because they are a go-to resource for jobs. So they collect so much of who's hired, who went where, how long it took to get a job. It's really going to be, I think, really interesting to hear from them. But we actually found Daniel through a podcast, which is my personal favorite source of information.
Agreed.
I'm always on a good podcast. So let's go ahead and tee that up. There was a great podcast episode. Do you want to tell them a little bit about this? Is an NPR episode, right?
Right. So NPR has a show called Planet Money. They have I think almost daily, 10-minute little podcasts. And somebody on Daniel's team was chief economist of Indeed was on this one. So we're going to play a little clip.
How should we regard the astonishing, frankly terrible events in the labor market for the year as a result of the pandemic?
To answer this, we called up Jed Kolko. He is the chief economist at Indeed, a job search website.
I think the biggest surprise this year is actually a relief that the labor market is not in worse shape than it is right now. Lots of people really expected that unemployment would be higher, job losses would be steeper, and incomes would be lower at this point in the year than they actually are.
In other words, things are bad, but they could have been even worse. In fact, a survey of economic forecasters back in May predicted that the unemployment rate would be around 11% at the end of this year. And right now, it's at about 6.7%. So still really high, but better than they thought.
But Jed also says that the hit to the labor market this year has fallen unevenly on the population and on the U.S. economy. And so he has broken down the economy into 4 different labor markets. The sectors of the labor market that have actually won this year, the sectors that are in recovery, the sectors that are damaged, and the sectors that are on pause. And he's going to guide us through each of those 4 different parts of the labor market right after a quick.
So I absolutely love hearing that clip from them because we were already having conversations about how different talking about the economy needed to be this year. Eric, you and I were talking about this continually as we try to think about how do we even approach an economic event this year. There's never one singular economic experience, but last year was far more different for many groups than normal.
Definitely. And we kind of talked about how there's just such different things going on with our members, depending what industry or where or what they're doing, and how they've been pivoting or not pivoting and things like that. So that I think is pretty interesting, and kind of what we're talking about is maybe actually happening in the more of a worldwide
Definitely.
Yeah.
We were very much hearing that mirrored. You're totally right. We were hearing from members who were, completely shuttered, who were struggling. And then on the other side, we had members that had so much business, they didn't know what to do with all of it. They were just exploded overnight and didn't have necessarily even the capacity to fulfill the amounts of orders they were getting. So when he said that, when we heard that podcast, we thought, oh my gosh, this is definitely happening in Aurora. We want to hear more about this. So I'm really excited to bring them. For anybody just tuning in, there's some info kind of flashing along the screen here just to bring you up to speed. So we are talking about the Chamber's Economic Pulse event that's coming on February 24th, just 2 weeks away, and the amazing speakers that are going to be here talking to us. So not only is Daniel going to be talking about kind of what we just heard, that's kind of a teaser of the 4 economic experiences, but he's also going to be talking a lot about opportunity, right, Eric?
Yeah. So, and that's kind of something we talked about that we want is that's not all doom and gloom. And I think 2020, we have heard enough doom and gloom. Don't know if that really registers with us anymore, but I think it's time to maybe look into the future. So to see what is next, what's going on, but also what is like our next steps as like a business community.
Next is such a good word to use. I heard somebody say, I'm thinking about what the next normal looks like at a conference. And that's so beautiful because I think our old normal, we all have to realize that's probably not going to be normal anymore. So really excited to hear the opportunities that Daniel is seeing in the data and how we can drive our businesses towards those opportunities.
Great.
So Daniel is definitely going to be a speaker that we will not want to miss.
Yes. And also at our event, we're going to have a panel with local experts from Illinois and from even closer to home, Aurora. And so, I'm going to introduce them real quickly for everybody. So our first one is going to be Dr. Orphy Devogai from the Illinois Policy Institute. So he's the chief economist at the Illinois Policy Institute in Chicago. And he's been published in a lot of different places, but specifically CNN Business, USA Today, the Tribune, Cranes, the Wall Street Journal, really active. And he also brings a really unique perspective on policy and research that affects Illinois. So it's pretty interesting and a very different perspective than some of our other panelists. So our next panelist is going to be Dr. Caleb Lewis of Aurora University. So real close to home. He's an assistant professor of economics and finance at Aurora. He earned a PhD from Northern Illinois University, and it teaches courses in corporate finance, personal finance, and economics. And he brings a really interesting academic perspective to understanding the local economy of Aurora. And very fun fact, he was a professor of our own Chris Anderson, who works for the Chamber. So we have that good connection that I found out yesterday. And then our final panelist is going to be Brian Gay of Invest Aurora. He's the CEO of Invest Aurora, Aurora's public-private partnership dedicated to economic development. Brian previously worked for the Illinois Department of Commerce and Choose DuPage, and he's going to give a really unique perspective of the economic situation of Aurora and future development that's going on in our community.
Awesome. So they really are going to be kind of taking that data that we're seeing at the national level. And like we've already said here, we anecdotally are seeing it in Aurora, but this panel is going to be able to really kind of bring that down to the ground for us and talk about what that's looking like already in the Aurora area and what 2021 might look like for us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting panel with lots of different takes on what's going on. Yeah.
Some really good perspectives. Eric, thank you so much for your work on this event. In just a minute, we're going to be actually, speaking of our panel, bringing in who is going to be our moderator for the panel. He is here today in the sponsor role. So we'll talk a little bit more about that panel in a few minutes. But before you part with us today, let's talk about how people attend. Hopefully they're as excited as we are at this point and ready to get registered.
Yes. So you go to aurorachamber.com/events to register, and then you'll have, Jessica's going to show you right now. And you can see our event page right here.
So all you'll want to do here is just click on that register button. All the info is here. The speakers that Eric's talked about are showing, as well as sponsorship information that is available. So we've got 3 amazing sponsors already signed up. Waubonsee Community College is our gold sponsor, E-Alliance is a silver sponsor, and Pilmer Real Estate as a bronze sponsor. So you can get all that information on our website. And for members, when you click that register button, I just want to remind everybody, make sure to log in to get your special member rate. So there is a different special rate for members, but this event is open to members and non-members. So if you're a member of the business community in Aurora, we encourage you to get registered and join us. We've also got kind of a special code. So for those of you watching the video right now, use the code Something's Brewing during your registration. There's a promo code field where you can put that in, and that'll get you $5 off. So thank you for watching and being with us today. Awesome. So we'll share that code a few more times during the broadcast for those that are watching. But Eric, thanks so much for being with us today. It was so great getting to talk to you, and we cannot wait for this event.
Thank you. I'm also very excited to see everybody there. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Our next guest on today's show is a dear friend of the Chamber. He's Vice President of Strategic Affairs at Waubonsee Community College, and we are very lucky to have him serving on the Chamber Board of Directors. Go ahead and help me in virtually welcoming Dr. Jamal Scott to our broadcast. Jamal, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So glad you're able to be here. Go ahead and if you would kick off and just introduce yourself to our viewers who are watching and share a little bit about the college.
Okay. Well, like you said, I'm Jamal Scott, and VP of Strategic Development here at Waubonsee Community College. I've been here a little over 6 years. At the college, we have about 10,000 students in a 4-campus network. I'm located at our Sugar Grove campus. We have over 200 acres of beautiful topography for our students and community to enjoy. Our Aurora downtown campus is nestled in the heart of downtown Aurora. It's about 135,000 square foot campus where you can earn an associate's degree right at that campus. We have our Aurora Fox Valley campus right across the parking lot from Rush Copley, where we house our healthcare programs. And we have our Plano campus there on Route 34 that we've just rebranded and innovated as our Design and Innovation Center. So we're really, really excited about the services that we're able to provide to our students in our community.
You guys are doing so much good work all the time. I don't know how you all stay upright, but the community is appreciative, I know. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
So you guys are, like I said, the gold sponsor for the Economic Pulse event on the 24th, and we're so thankful that you're involved. Would you share a little bit, what drew you to this event? What drew the college in?
Well, like you and Eric said, I mean, there have just been so many changes in the economy over the last 12 months. I mean, a lot has changed in the economic landscape. I mean, we've seen so many things happening. We've seen different industries go up and down. I mean, retail, hospitality, transportation, et cetera. So I think for us, being a major part of the community, just being able to have a pulse of what's going on in the community and hearing from these speakers is really exciting. In particular, this keynote speaker seems like he's going to be really outstanding and dynamic. That commercial you guys showed is something that really resonated with me. I mean, indeed, just the national and the global perspective that he'll be able to bring, I think is going to be really exciting. So we're just really, really looking forward to it and thought that providing that sponsorship would be a great way to show our support.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you for that. You know, and as you're talking about really just kind of the pulse on the economy, you guys were talking about, as you mentioned, your campuses for Waubonsee, it just kind of starts to show what I know to be true, which is that economic solutions are really at the heart of so much of your work. You guys are always trying to find ways to help everyone thrive, to really elevate your students. So would you share with some of our viewers some of the initiatives that you guys have taken on in this area?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, in the last year, we started a new Workforce and Solutions Council. So we have a lot of representation from Kane and Kendall County, some of the counties we serve, the Illinois Department of Employment and Security, some of our key manufacturing partners in the area. So Jessica is on the Workforce and Solutions Council. So to the extent that we're all able to talk about the different challenges that we're seeing, the different problems that we are facing, that our partner organizations are facing, how we're able to just collaborate and come together and help provide some answers to those, I think is really, really important. So we've already seen some good work come out of that group already as well. And then here at the college, we're doing a lot with, Department of Labor registered apprenticeship programs and some other grants to the Department of Education. So, we're really trying to do our part, again, as a community partner to ensure that we're helping to ramp up and skill up both individuals and companies so we can get this economy back on track.
Yeah, that council, I think, would certainly agree with what Eric and I were talking about a few minutes ago, that really that labor market is going to be such a key part of our recovery. And just like you said, it's going to take a lot of partners and a lot of work to help individuals and companies adjust to what this new world will look like.
Exactly.
Well, in addition to sponsoring, Jamal, we're also going to get to see you during the Economic Pulse event. I teased this a few minutes ago. So on February 24th, you'll be moderating our kind of esteemed panel discussion. What can attendees expect from that?
Well, I mean, these panel members are going to bring some of the findings of this keynote back down to the ground level, kind of talk about what it means right here in the Aurora area. You talked about Brian Gay, who's also on the Workforce and Solutions Council. He's doing some outstanding things. I mean, hearing from the chief economist and the professor, I'm just really, really excited to hear the different perspectives that they're going to have when it comes to economic development and growth in the area. They have a ton of knowledge, as you can see from some of the bios and information that Jessica and Eric shared already. So it's going to be really, really exciting. I'm so excited to hear them. I'm going to be moderating and listening and taking notes at the same time. So I am really, really excited and think it's going to be an outstanding event.
I'll be multitasking right along with you. They're going to be really good. Well, we're really excited to have you as part of that event, Jamal. And thank you. It's been so wonderful having you on today. For anybody that is looking to get connected with the college or with you, how can they find you?
Well, here is our Twitter handle. So you can go to us at waubonsie.edu on Twitter, or my personal email address is jscott@waubonsie.edu. So I also serve in a community development role for the college. So I'd be happy to make any connections and provide any information anyone needs. So please feel free to reach out to me directly.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much, Jamal, for being on, and we will see you in just a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, you heard it right here, folks. The 2021 Economic Pulse event is going to be jam-packed with great information, incredible expert speakers, tons of data. This is going to be information that all of us can use in making those business decisions going forward into 2021. So we're really proud of what we're able to bring to Aurora, and we're really proud of these speakers. So it's going to be awesome to be able to bring them in with us over this virtual platform. One more time, just for everybody that has maybe come in throughout the broadcast, if you have heard all of this information and you're like me, you're like Jamal right now, and you are ready to hear them, let's go ahead and get registered. You can go to aurorachamber.com/events, where you'll find the 2021 Economic Pulse event. That is going to be February 24th at 10 a.m. We're going to be virtual for this event, so you're going to be able to tune in from wherever you are, hopefully somewhere very warm in this current climate. So for members, that is a $20 registration fee, and for future members of the Chamber, there's a $35 ticket. So whether you are currently a member or maybe you'll become one in the future, you're welcome. If you're a member of the business community, we hope you'll join us for this event. And for anybody watching right now, it's scrolling along the bottom there. We have a special promo code for you. Use code SOMETHINGSBREWIN for $5 off your registration. Thanks so much for tuning in with us today for another episode of Something's Brewing at the Chamber. As always, our team is so energized to be working for you in this community. There really is a lot brewing at the Greater Aurora region and at the Chamber. You guys, I'm going to need some more coffee to keep up with all of you. But for now, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, let's keep it brewing.